Before the pandemic, many Americans, many Oregonians, and many Hillsboro residents were already living paycheck to paycheck, and now many more are in danger of losing their homes in the months ahead. COVID-19 has created an even greater urgency to address our community's needs for more affordable housing and how to end homelessness. Joining me here now to talk about these issues are Hillsboro City Councilor Olivia Alquer, Metro Councilor Juan Carlos Gonzalez, Rushank Gunjur, the YAC co-chair, our Youth Advisory Council co-chair, and also a member of our Transportation Systems Plan Steering Committee. We have Kim Marshall, who's the Executive Director from Project Homeless Connect. And from Community Action, we have Executive Director Kemp Shuey. We have Sia Lindstrom, the Interim Assistant County Administrator for Washington County, and Chris Hardy, Senior Project Manager for the City of Hillsboro. Thank you all for making the time to be here today. We appreciate this greatly. So COVID-19 has changed the equation on homelessness and affordable housing. And we recognize as a city and as a city council that these are priority areas. So I want to start this conversation off on affordable housing and what's happening to increase the supply. Before the pandemic, voters passed a region-wide housing measure for $650 million. And thanks to Metro for leading this effort. And now we're moving forward with an affordable housing project in Hillsboro using a portion of our share, our community share of these funds. The Nueva Esperanza, or New Hope, affordable housing project has been approved, vetted by the City Council, and is planned in the coming years ahead on 53rd Avenue. Councilor Alquer, this project is critically important to our community. Could you share your thoughts about it?
Thank you, Mayor. I care very much about affordable housing, and in Hillsboro, we have high percentage. Out of 107,000 people, roughly 51% are renting. And in my ward is the highest concentration of low income immigrant and people of color who live there. And so there's an incredible need in a dense area for housing. And I am really happy about the passing of these measures to be able to provide the housing supply that we need, and that it's affordable for people. And there are a lot of people who live paycheck to paycheck in our city. And so we really have an opportunity here to help people with some stable and affordable. When I think about Nueva Esperanza, it's going to be 150 units that are going to accommodate people. Could be people who were homeless, could be people who have received recent Section 8 type housing. And then in addition, some multifamily housing, because within the Latinx community, you have multi-generational folks living together under one household. And so the beauty of that is that people can continue to have those customs, those traditions as part of their home life. The other part, when I think about this, is what sort of housing stability it provides to so many people. And we're not just about a place. It is about providing resident services. And huge lesson for Vienna Star is on some other properties as COVID hit, and we found out like who was not getting any help, that they had resident services that could respond to doing an inventory, finding out what it is that people needed, and making connections with folks like at Community Action and the county and Oregon Food Bank, but just being able to provide food stability for people, and in addition to helping out with their rent and utilities. When I think about community members who receive support during this time, it is all about the connections that can be made. It's really important about partnerships to make it the easiest way possible for somebody who needs something. How can we do it, and how can we work together to do it? So I am really pleased that people came together, and I have a really stronger appreciation of that work and for all the effort that it takes to make it happen, from Metro all the way to our city and our county. Thank you.
Thank you. And you know, you mentioned the importance of family units. And so of the 150 units, there are several that are focused with 3 bedrooms, just to make sure that we're providing, you know, families with, you know, units that really are going to fit their needs. And so that shows our commitment to equity as a council and as a city. And by having Bienestar involved, you know, we're able to bring an organization in that has successful experience, you know, serving, you know, vulnerable populations. And so we're really excited, you know, for this project. And Chris, as senior project manager, you've been a part of this project really since the very beginning, you know, from the passage of the bond to the upcoming groundbreaking. There's been so much that's gone into this.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, there have been many planning meetings and a number of really good engagement sessions with community members to better understand their housing needs. We also worked with a committee to help select the project, and we really appreciate all the time and effort it took from those members to review the applications and help the city select a great project. We're excited about Nueva Esperanza for a number of reasons. A main one is because it is really designed to meet those community members' needs by providing the family size units that we've talked about, by providing very low income units as we need in Hillsboro, and then also to provide amenities like a paseo, a pathway, and community gathering spaces at the project. The project still needs final approval by City Council and land use approval, but if all goes well, we expect construction to start in the fall, and the project will be complete in a little less than 2 years.
Which is really exciting. And, you know, as you talk about the importance of community, right across the street on 53rd is our new Hidden Creek Community Center, which, you know, again, is a great resource, but also just a great opportunity to create community within Nueva Esperanza, but also with the greater community as well. So very, very exciting on so many different levels. Some of the folks who will be living in this facility, you know, currently are living on the streets. Others are living in their cars or sharing homes with others. And during the pandemic, we've worked with many partners to serve people in need, some of who I've just described. And Kim, this year, Homeless Connect has had a shelter at the Salvation Army store. You manage the Safe Sleep Village tent, as well as a Safe Sleep Village RV camp. And most recently, you've operated the winter shelter here at the Civic Center. Throughout it all, you've worked to address COVID-19 in a way that maintained safety, security, and most importantly, people's dignity. So could you share with us kind of the journey that you've been on this last year?
Thank you, Mayor, and I am honored to be on this panel with these incredible partners. And it has been a journey for us. Back just a year ago, we had to make a decision as a team if we were going to continue on and serve our friends, or if we were going to kind of stop what we were doing and limit our access and shelter in place for ourselves. And unanimously, my team said, nope, we are going to keep going. We're going to keep doing this. We are yes people and we want to serve. And one of the things that we always at Project Homeless Connect considers about the relationships that we're building with our homeless friends. And so for us, homelessness isn't about numbers, it's about people. And we want to serve people well. And through great partnerships with the city, the county, community action, we were able to do that with things like the Salvation Army building, which is part of our extension shelters in the spring, to make sure that people were indoors with proper sanitation. And then, you know, moving into the summer months with the village at the fairgrounds, we were able to, again, make sure that people had a common space to come to. And one of the great things we saw at the Safe Sleep Village was we were able to be open 24 hours a day. So folks were able to have a safe place to keep their stuff, which alleviated some of their insecurities. And we were able to see people get secure employment, because they knew where they were going that evening and where their stuff was going to be. So great successes out of that. And then continuing, again, this fall with our winter shelters and being able to open the Civic Center and bring folks in once again, get them out of the elements, make sure that they're sheltering in place and allowing them to have the proper sanitation and access to the supportive services that we have. The needs are great, and we're striving to meet those needs the best we can. We know that through, again, partnerships with the city and the county and community action through some of their outreach dollars, we've been able to engage with our friends at McKay Encampment and make sure that they also are receiving supportive services or moving them into shelter or working with them to get their Community Connect assessment done, those types of things. And so we really strive to just meet people where they are. And through these great partnerships and collaboration, bringing folks in has proven to be successful. Our numbers in terms of homeless friends getting COVID are very low. None of my staff had symptoms or have had COVID, and we've been going at it this full year. So thank you for your partnership and the community at large for their donations, fiscally, blankets, hand warmers, socks, jeans, food, all the things that help make sheltering successful. Takes the entire village. So thank you.
Welcome and thank you. And Metro Councilor Gonzalez, Kim just mentioned the needs are great, and Metro really is leading the way throughout the region. We referenced the $650 million housing bond, but we also had the Here Together bond, which raises $250 million a year for wraparound services to address, the other needs, that some of our homeless neighbors are experiencing. So can you give us an update on the Here Together bond and any other bond information you'd care to share?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mayor. And I just want to say it's such a pleasure and honor to be on a panel with leaders in the housing space in Washington County. I mean, if there's one thing that we've learned, especially this last year, like Kim just mentioned, is that it takes a village, it takes a community, it takes a very intentional ecosystem of people and services to help folks exit homelessness, to help people stay in stable housing, and ultimately to become productive members of our community. Our supportive housing services measure, which was passed in May of 2020 by all the 3 counties in the greater Portland area. We've been working on planning and policies and our agreements between the different local governments that will be delivering these services. Here in Washington County, the county's been working on a local implementation plan that is really looking at all the different areas of the county and how homelessness and the lack of affordability impacts different communities. And what we're able to do is really have micro-targeted approaches while also connecting with what Multnomah County and Clackamas County are doing. And what this measure has really given us the opportunity to do is invest in supportive housing services and housing affordability in a way that we've never done before as a region. Really historic investments that reflect our values about the kind of region that we want to be, about the families that we want to support, and of course the general quality of life that we want to help maintain for all people of all backgrounds at all income levels. What's really exciting is that in the next few weeks, the Metro Council will be finalizing the agreements, the partnerships with our counties, and we'll actually start seeing the first set of service dollars reaching organizations and our counties and our cities around July. And from there on out, we're going to continue investing. We're going to keep refining and improving our process and our systems. And as you know, our goal is to functionally end chronic homelessness in the greater Portland. It's a huge, ambitious goal, but one that we've taken on, and we know that everyone deserves a warm, a safe, and stable place. And that's what we believe here. And I just really am grateful for voters in the region and for the amazing partners on this call that are a part of what makes that possible.
Thank you, Counselor. And I loved your term ecosystem, because ecosystems work when everybody is able to play their role. Absolutely. And the county has a huge, important role in our ecosystem and has been a really wonderful partner. for us in Hillsboro and throughout the county. And that's with so many of these different projects, Sia. And so thank you to you for your leadership. Thank you to the county commission for their commitment to this. And, throughout the time of the pandemic, you've set up the respite center at the former Comfort Inn. You've had the Safe Sleep Village, the Safe Sleep RV program. And I know that you're looking at future projects and programs, one of which is a potential hotel purchase for long-term housing. So what has it been like for you and your colleagues setting up all of these vital efforts in real time during, a pandemic, the likes of which none of us have ever lived through before?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Callaway, for the opportunity to be here. And I'm also honored to be on this panel with folks who are just doing such amazing work in the county and in the region. And I'm grateful to be here. So at the county, our role has really been coordination, kind of that behind the scenes work. And that's been challenging and demanding work, as you can imagine. I think we've all faced that. Challenging and demanding work. And it's only been possible because of the strong partnerships among us with our city partners, with our special districts, with our community-based organizations. I think that's a theme that we all feel strongly is the strength of those partnerships. Now, our county's Emergency Operations Center has played a really instrumental role in coordinating our response for all those who are affected by COVID, especially our most vulnerable neighbors who are living unsheltered. As with most of us, we are centering equity in our response efforts to ensure that those who are most vulnerable to the disease have the access to the resources they need, both to stay healthy and to recover well. The county was able to direct $1.7 million in federal CARES Act dollars to support the houseless population. And for that, we're extremely grateful. It's been a game changer for us to have that resource. It's been through the leadership of our Board of Commissioners and the incredible partnerships with City of Hillsboro and with all of you all that we've been able to provide a variety of supportive services. And I'm grateful you all have named a number of them here already. The respite shelter for COVID positive individuals to recover, the Safe Sleep Village, Safe RV Park. We've been able to do some winter shelter beds. And I want to continue on what Juan Carlos started talking about, which is the supportive services measure that the voters approved last May. And as we plan for local implementation of that measure in Washington County, we're continuing to work with community partners on some interim strategies to help us bridge the gap. And the gap is from the unsheltered living conditions that to the supportive services that are going to start to come online later this fall as the funding starts to flow. We're also hopeful that additional federal relief will come in the coming weeks as the American Recovery Act works its way through Congress. This would greatly and positively impact our current programs and allow us to implement additional interim emergency strategies through the remainder of this COVID response effort. And I continue to be grateful for the partnership with City of Hillsboro and with all of you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sia. One of the most vulnerable populations as we think about those experiencing homelessness is within our youth. And sometimes they are a little bit more off the radar because of their circumstances and the survival strategies that they're employing. And so, Vershank, you and the Youth Advisory Council have prioritized work to decrease youth homelessness and to raise funds. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate your commitment to this, because homelessness, it's a discouraging topic in some ways. And so the hope that comes in this topic comes from the work that you and YAC are doing. So thank you for that. And share with us, what you're doing, and most importantly, how we can join you in this and how we can share and support your work.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Callaway. So the Hillsboro Youth Advisory Council definitely recognizes, the importance of serving all members of our community. And part of that is serving the homeless population within our city. And we believe that, as you were saying, including youth voices on issues like this that affect us now and into the future is going to be key to the sustainable growth of our city. And over the past 2 years, the Youth Homelessness Subcommittee of the Youth Advisory Council has been working to address the issue of homelessness from a place of compassion and understanding. And they're currently working to organize a fundraiser to benefit the Safe Place Youth Shelter, because we believe that supporting impactful community resources such as Safe Place will continue to make Hillsboro a better place to work, play, and live for everybody, regardless of their socioeconomic status. Because the bottom line is that homelessness isn't an issue that's just going to magically disappear or go away, and we need to take a proactive stance and role if we want to help out our fellow community members. Because homelessness is difficult for everybody. Housing instability is a hard thing, but it's even harder to experience it as a homeless youth. So please check out our GoFundMe page and consider donating if you're able, because every cent really does make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. And so that we can help with that bottom line, can you give us that GoFundMe page address again? Because we want to make sure that it's highlighted so that people can go there and donate and support as soon as they're done watching, this video.
Yeah, I don't think I have like a specific link for it, but if you look up GoFundMe Safe Place Hillsboro, it's the first link that shows up.
Perfect. So go to GoFundMe and Safe Place Hillsboro.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you very, very much. And again, thank you for the work that you're doing for your peers. You are able to support them in a way emotionally and socially that many of us are unable. So thank you. Kemp, community action plays a huge important role in our ecosystem as well, because we know that one of the best ways to prevent homelessness is to help people stay in the homes that they're currently in. And so that comes with rental assistance. It can come with utility assistance. So can you talk about what community action has done during the pandemic to support our most vulnerable and those experiencing housing insecurities?
Sure. Well, thank you again to, like everyone else had mentioned, it's really an honor to be here to talk about this issue in particular. We have such a wonderful group around the screen. For community action, as you've heard, we've had a role to play in a number of projects around the county, and probably one of the biggest demands for us or needs for us has been to step in and really scale up the service around getting rent assistance out and distributed into the community. As you mentioned, the cost on our system, the cost for our cities, our governments here and society, it is the most cost-effective solution to prevent homelessness in the first place. So for us, the demand's been huge, and we scaled up tremendously from serving 30 households last February to very quickly serving 400 plus in just a matter of months. So a tremendous effort. We had tremendous resources made available through the CARES Act. Perhaps even more importantly was the quick action from local governments like Hillsboro, local donors, local foundations to respond quickly to get rent assistance dollars out even before the CARES Act money came to our community. So we're really grateful for that and the foresight of our local leadership. It really is relying on partners, and we've talked about it time and again. And for us as well, when we talk about rent assistance, it's not just community action who's doing that work. It really was an opportunity for us to leverage wonderful partnerships we have, many around the screen here, to get those funds out, particularly to culturally and linguistically isolated communities. Really are reliant on a number of our culturally specific partners in the region to help connect with those communities, because we don't have all of the connections, but as a collaborative partnership, we do. So it's been a wonderful thing, hard work, but exciting work and inspiring work to be part of.
Thank you. And, one of the themes that I hear is just, equity, but also equipping. And that's what so many of the projects and the work that is being done, it equips people. It gives them, the services that they need, as well as support that they need. So thank you again. This, while it's a kind of a discouraging topic, it still is encouraging to hear all that is taking place. And, within our community, there was also a lot of food insecurity, because if we're struggling to pay the rent, or we're having to decide if we're paying utilities, it also means that maybe food is not on the table, or food is not in the refrigerator. And so a couple of things that have happened this year, within Hillsboro, to address that, we had our Food to You program, which was home delivery of food packages for those who were unable to get out. And so in Hillsboro, we delivered almost 35,000 pounds to over 300 households. We also had the food box pickup program run by volunteers and it was held at St. Matthew Church, and now it's continuing at Hillsboro High School. And that has been just truly a lifesaver for so many families who don't know where that next meal would have come from. So before we go, and thank you for this great conversation, but before we go, I want to ask each of you for maybe a single takeaway from this past year, something that stood out to you during the pandemic about about helping community members experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity. And Councilor Alcaire, can we start with you for your takeaway related to this?
Yeah. So my takeaway from this year, due to COVID, has been the rise and the dismantling of camps in our city, next to the Winco, next to the cemetery, along TV highway, areas where people are finding ways to live and survive. And there's still so much to do, right? I appreciate the folks who are going out there and gathering as advocates to try to make some resolution on behalf of people that they are encountering. There's so much more work to do, and so much more in resources that are needed, that it's made me really think about, well, what is transitional housing and what can we do for it in getting people prepared for more stable housing? Because you can't have, you can't satisfy somebody's well-being without unstable housing and food insecurity, and then job insecurity on top of that. So there's a lot of work that needs to happen, and especially for homeless. Thank you.
Thank you. Rishab, what's your takeaway?
Yeah, so obviously there's a long road ahead for solving homelessness. I mean, getting people back into houses and reducing the amount of housing instability. And I think that one key takeaway from this past year especially is that this isn't something that we can do as like a solo effort. And it's not even something that we can do like as a single group. And it's something that, I mean, as a lot of other people here have said, it's something that we need to create partnerships for. And it's something that's worked when we look to each other for help and the things that we fall short on, and then we can provide resources. So creating partnerships is the way to move forward, in my opinion, and taking it on as a team.
Excellent. Councilor Gonzalez.
Thanks, Mayor. I think my reflection from this last year is there's deep love for people in this region, and from that love stems inspiration and action, and that willingness has created resources for us to do something about these problems. And I'm really hoping to just continue to work on those. And there's deep love, and that motivates me very much.
Excellent. Chris.
My takeaway is resilience, both on the part of housing providers, tenants within affordable housing, homeless community members, and really all community members. It's been a trying, challenging year like no other, but I see a lot of hope and resilience in the Hillsboro community, and that gives me inspiration.
Very good. See ya.
Yeah, for me, I think a lot of us have realized that COVID has just served to spotlight and in some cases exacerbate the problems that we're already wrestling with in our communities. And so I think COVID is creating an opportunity, actually a responsibility for us to really start to address some of these inequities, these problems moving forward. And the silver lining is that it's also unleashed a real creativity and innovation as we seek to address these problems together.
Thank you. Kemp.
Yeah, for me, I think the takeaway is really, it's been wonderful to see just the authentic response from our community in a moment of crisis, and so many competing crises all happening at the same time. And we see that care and concern and those shared values show up at the voting booth and the ballot box by passing a measure. But I can tell you, even as an executive director at the nonprofit level, we can see the generosity and response from individuals who want to find a way to contribute and help. And it shows up in that way as well. And it's just really heartening. And as hard as this challenge is before us, there is so much reason to be hopeful and optimistic that we're going to make significant transformational change in our community here in Hillsboro and beyond in the coming years.
Good. And Kim, can we give you the last word for the last takeaway?
Thank you, Mayor. Like so many have said, our collaborative partnerships are so key to this. The big takeaway, I'm going to cry. Usually Mayor does this, has been all the themes that we've talked about today are within our homeless community as well. The resilience and the love and the perseverance and the desire for change and their willingness to be part of the solutions. If it's, the city of Hillsboro and the county bringing a dumpster to McKay and the residents there cleaning up week after week, tons and tons of garbage. And even though right now it looks like there's still a lot, they did so much work because for them, that's their community and they wanted it clean. Within our shelters, we see our friends stepping into the roles of janitorial and helpers and making food for each other. They want to be part of the solution. Their voices want to be heard. And it's been so beautiful to watch this past year as COVID, like Sia said, amplified what was already in our community. And now we have a responsibility to respond to it. And the friends that are most vulnerable so desperately want that as well. And along with that is in listening to their voices, recognizing that it's not a silver bullet. And there's different prongs to this issue. And we have to recognize that some folks are going to get to go into these amazing supported housing services places. Some folks are going to continue in shelter, and some folks are going to want to stay camping. And so continuing those conversations, making sure we're meeting people where they're at and providing basic services for them is so key. So it's just been a great takeaway to and privilege to get to know these friends who are unsheltered and outside and hear their stories and their desire for change and willingness to be part of the solution.
Thank you. I'm really glad you had the last word. And so for those who are watching, I want to remind you, you can go to the GoFundMe page, for Safe Places Hillsboro. You can, go to Project Homeless Connect's website or Facebook page and learn more about their efforts there. You can go to Community Action and support the work that they do. And there is a gala coming up in April. So if you're watching this before April, go to their website and maybe that's another way that you can support. And I just want to say thank you to every single one of you for the important role that you play and for how you shared, those roles and your passion today. So thank you. Hillsboro City Councilor Olivia Alcaire, Metro Councilor Juan Carlos Gonzalez, Vrushenk Gonjour, our YAC co-chair and member of our Transportation System Planning Committee, Kim Marshall, our Executive Director of Project Homeless Connect, the Executive Director of Community Action, Kemp Shuey. Thank you to Sia Lindstrom, our Interim Assistant County Administrator, and Chris Hardy, our Senior Project Director for the City of Hillsboro. And thanks to all of you who are watching at home, whether it be on your computer, on your phones, or on your television. We appreciate you taking the time to learn more about our community, learn more about what's happened this last year, but especially the things that we're doing and that you can join with us in accomplishing in the years ahead. So remember, there are a total of 6 videos this year as part of our State of the City. And so we hope that if this is your first one, you'll continue to watch the other 5 community conversations. And if you've watched the other ones, thank you for joining us here and have a great day. And thank you for reaching out and being supportive and kind to one another.